Sounds good. Thanks, Kerry.
Okay, everyone, welcome back for session 3. I hope things are going well for everyone, and that the sessions are being of use to everyone. So, anyways, as we've said in the past, there's no dumb questions. Every question is a valid one. So please, if you don't understand something or we're using some terminology that doesn't make sense, please ask the question. Okay, so this is session 3. Session 3's agenda, we're going to talk about positioning and mechanics. As we said back in session 1, there's probably 3 things that are really the most important in officiating. 1 is obviously rules knowledge. 2, and there's no real difference in categorizing or prioritizing them, but positioning and mechanics would be 2, and then 3 is hustle. So mechanics is really, really important. And the areas that we're going to cover are kickoff, scrimmage plays, which would include both running plays and passing plays. We're going to talk about what your responsibilities and positioning for goal line stand is, for punts, and then field goals as well. Okay, mechanics refers to the routine procedure surrounding what the officials do. The mechanics of positioning, signaling, and teamwork are all the essential importance to professional performance. And good positioning is necessary if you are to see what you are supposed to see. So if you're not in the right position, you can never make the right call. And that's what mechanics and positioning are all about. It's being in the right place at the right time. Sharp, unhesitated, and unhurried signals build confidence for everyone regarding your fishing ability. If you're hesitant or you're a bit lazy with your signals and your decision making, then specifically coaches start to question you. And if a coach thinks that you're not sure what you're doing, they'll question everything you're doing. So if you want to restrict what's happening and that you're actually being believed and trusted, then make sure you're sharp with your signals and positioning. Commonly recognized teamwork procedures are necessary to ensure the greatest extent that every action is covered and ruled upon. So every play or everything that's happening on the field, if we're in the right spot, we're going to see it. We're going to be able to make a decision. Does it have an effect? Is it a foul? Is it not a foul? Do we flag it? Don't we flag it? Do we try to use it as a teaching moment with the player? And then it also eliminates or minimizes disagreements, whether it's between you and another official on the field, because that happens sometimes where when you've got one official calling it a complete pass and one calling it an incomplete pass, that becomes really confusing for everyone, as well as it eliminates the situation where coaches are saying, that wasn't a holding. You don't know what you're seeing out there. So you want to make sure that you're crisp and in the right spot to make the call. Proper mechanics help the flow of the game and takes away some of the confusion and unnecessary delays, because if we've got some indecision on the field, then we usually end up having to have 2 officials talking to make sure to confirm that what actually happened did happen, and that just delays the game, and that's no fun for anyone. And good mechanics develop through correct habits. Habits are something that we all will learn to do. It takes some time, but that's what's going to make for a good officiating career. Mechanics can either be good or bad and are habitual actions. It is much easier to learn the correct habit and do the right thing from the beginning than to learn incorrect habits and then having to try to correct them later. It also causes confusion between officials on the field, and that's never a good situation either. like the playing rules, mechanics have evolved over time and will continue to evolve. So maybe some of the stuff we're teaching today in a year or two may change, but that's because the game evolves, the rules evolve, and mechanics evolve. The obligation of officials are to know the rules, learn the playing rules, understand what's going on, and what's right, what's wrong, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And then to develop correct habits, which are your mechanics. As it says in the bold box, an official who is in the right place at the right time at least looks efficient. And that's a big part of it. If you look efficient and you're able to be in the right spot, you're going to make 99% of the right calls, whether they're to be called or not to be called. So we'll start off with kickoff duties, and we'll talk about the downs judge. Before the ball is kicked, you want to take a position on the sideline at the restraining line of the receiving team, which is 10 yards in advance of the kicking line. So in Canadian football, that would be at center field at the 55. You, as the down judge, you're responsible for counting the kicking team and make sure there's 12 players. If there's not 12 players, then you want to make sure that the kicking team gets the 12th player on the field. Check the field and sidelines to make sure there isn't a trainer or a football rolling on the field or something that's not supposed to be there. And then when you're set and ready, you lift your arm as the official in the picture shows to signal to the referee that you're ready for play. The downs judge on the other side will take up a position similar to the downs judge. And they're on the restraining line as well, opposite the downs judge on the 55-yard line. Normally, you're going to count the receiving team, okay? And that way, we know that there's 12 players on each team. Check the field and the sidelines again, make sure there's nobody encroaching, and then again, signal to the referee that you're ready. After everybody's got their arm up, the referee will point to each of the officials and make eye contact and let you know that the game is ready to go. Okay, so the actual mechanics for kickoffs with the 5 official crew. Oh, maybe I should just back up just a second. In the West, we use 5 officials on a lot of our minor mechanics, and that's why we're talking about the 5 official crew. The manual that you'll have downloaded speaks mostly to 4 official crew, and in many other regions of the country, that's what they use. So there are some variances from region to region, but the actual responsibilities don't change that much. One zone responsibilities, and we'll get into what the zones are and what that means in a few slides from now, but are slightly different in 5 versus 4, only because you've got an extra official on the field, so the zone's a little bit smaller. Just so that you're aware that you might be confused as to why the manual is talking about 4 officials and we're talking about 5, but that's because mostly in the West we use 5 officials in many occasions. Scott, you got a question?
Yeah. So just a quick question with the kicking, as if in regards to. So it's just the job of the downs and line judge to make sure that there are 12 players.
No, every official in the field is going to count. Just let me do something here first, and it'll come a little bit more prevalent. So I'll get to it in a second, your answer, but let me finish this a little bit of this slide first, and I'll explain it. Okay, so you've got your referee who is going to line up on the side where the timekeeper is, and you can see the zone, the middle zone of the field that the referee is responsible for. Then you've got the line judge and their zone responsibility. You got the downs judge, their responsibility. You have the umpire, and they have the back half, deep half, and then you also have the field judge and their responsibility. So every official that's on the field is responsible for counting the players. Okay, the field on a kickoff, the field judge and umpire are going to count the receiving team along with the line judge, and the downs judge and the referee will count. Sorry, the field judge, umpire, and line judge count the receiving team. The downs judge and referee are going to count the kicking team. Does that make sense? Does that help answer your question, Scott?
So my question more, Frank, sorry, was more not counting and making sure there's the right number of people, but also placement of the players. Does that matter?
The placement of the players, obviously on the kicking team, because the referee is the only one on the kicking line, he is responsible for signaling or calling offside on kickoffs. As long as all the kicking team is behind the kicker at the time the kicker makes contact with the ball, then it's all legal. The line judge and the downs judge are responsible to make sure that none of the receiving team are inside the 10-yard restraining zone. So they'll then be responsible for all of these players at the 55-yard line.
So it is actually not the job of the sideline judges to make sure that the kicking team is on side. That's actually the job of the referee.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. Because a
couple of hints. So when you're communicating with each other, you can verbally communicate. I got 12, touch the brim of your hat. If you're short, I'm one short, point to the ground. And if you're got 13, you want to get the 13th guy off the field. You got too many, count your men, guys. You got too many, get somebody off the field and communicate that and vocalize that.
Okay. So the duties on kickoffs after the ball is kicked, especially as the sideline officials, you have to determine whether it's a short or a deep kick. Obviously, if it's a shorter kick and it's coming down in your zone, you've got ball responsibilities. If it is coming in your zone, you are then responsible for signaling time in. And time in occurs when the first player of either team touches the ball. Okay, if the ball isn't touched, then the clock doesn't start. Then you're going to watch and cover the return, and you're going to be if the ball's not in your area, you're going to be watching blocking, what's legal, what's illegal, and if the ball comes into your area, then you may have to rule on whether the ball's in or out of bounds, and be aware of fumbles, laterals, offside passes, and then also help cover out of bounds things. So if the play runs to the sidelines and the player goes out of bounds, and let's say one of the deep officials is taking the spot, then you're responsible for getting out of bounds and making sure that there's no unnecessary roughness plays or anything like that.
We have a good question here from Bryce. So first touching constitutes possession. So as soon as the receiving team touches the ball, you're winding the clock. That's considered possession, not physically grasping the ball. I think that's the question you were asking.
Okay, then after the ball is dead, the play goes dead. If the ball carrier is tackled in your zone, excuse me, you're going to want to signal timeout, waving your arms over your head, killing the clock. If the ball is not in your zone, do not be waving timeout. That is a definite signal to your other officials and to people as supervisors and mentors that may be watching you, that you're watching the ball and not watching the play in your zone. If the ball goes dead in your zone, you're going to mark the spot as to where the play went dead. And if you're the downs judge, after the play is dead, then you're going to want to make sure that the sticks in the downs box are placed correctly for the start of the next play. Okay, the that covers basically what's your responsibilities as sideline officials for kicking plays. We'll move on to scrimmage plays with the basic zones coverages that we have. And on scrimmage plays, line of scrimmage officials are referred to as either the free official, which is the short side official, or the held official, which is the wide side official. And you'll get assistance from the field judge to determine which is the short side and wide side. Obviously, if the ball is being positioned on one of the hash marks, it's simple. It gets a little bit more complicated when it's right dead center in the middle of the field. It's hard to tell which way it is. And it really doesn't matter in those cases. It just means one official needs to be designated as short side and one is wide side. Okay, as on the duties at the snap, your sideline officials are responsible to make sure that you've got an end on both sides of the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage that the players are not into this neutral zone from either side, and that nobody moves early. Okay. And here you can see the positioning that you have. Your sideline people are both on the line of scrimmage, covering both the line of scrimmage and the 1 yard neutral zone. The umpire is going to shade to the short side of the field, the referee to the wide side, and the field judge mostly in the middle of the field or to the wide side, cheat to the wide side of the field. Okay, as far as the zones are concerned, the referee is lining up on the wide side of the field here, and his response zone is from basically the center of the line to his side, but he's going to pick up a little bit of the offside guard, and he's going to have the running backs and the quarterback in his zone. His primary concern is going to be the quarterback. The umpire is to the short side of the field and lined up with the linebackers. His responsibility is the rest of the line people from the center over on his side, and also any of the line play as the play progresses. In this case, the down judge or the free official, short side official, is on the line of scrimmage, and you have, as a sideline official, you have sideline goal line to goal line coverage, actually dead ball line to dead ball line, and from just inside the hash marks out to your sidelines. So you have a huge zone to cover. You've got the line judge, wide side hold official on the other side, and their zone is again goal line to goal line. But they have everything from the short side zone all the way across to their sideline. So it's even a bigger zone. And then you have the field judge who's cheating somewhat, is more in the middle of the field, and their zone is the middle of the field. The shading of the field judge on this is maybe a little bit smaller. They probably have got it more out towards the far hash mark, and it may actually go in a bit of a diagonal line across so that they've got all the deep area covered. The zones, as you can see, overlap. So there's, the umpire and the short side official will be working together lots. The referee and most everybody else close to the line of scrimmage works together. The field judge and the sideline guys are working together as well. So there's lots of overlap. It's not black and white sections. There's overlapping sections.
And especially for the down judge, that field judge is going to give you help in there. Don't think that you're on an island. That field judge will give you some secondary help.
Okay, scrimmage plays, free and held officials. Prior to the snap, you're the downs the judge. You're going to want to make sure that sticks are correct. If you're field judge, you want to have a look and make sure that the downs box has the right number on the downs box. You're going to check for substitutions from your bench or benches, depending on where the teams are lined up. Make sure that when 2 or more players break the huddle, you actually put your gates up so that no more substitutions can occur. You're going to check to make sure you've got an eligible receiver on the end of the line, okay? And that receiver, hopefully they'll come out and ask whether they're on, state that they're on, and then you can make sure that they are either on or off the line of scrimmage. You're going to want to check the players for line up to make sure that the defense is given a full yard. If they're cheating, this is one of the places where before the play, you can verbalize and use your voice and yell at them. Back up, defense, back up, give them a full yard. Those kinds of comments. If they don't, that's their problem, but at least you gave them the chance. And probably if you say it loud enough that the players can hear, coaches can hear too, so that when if they don't move and they get flagged, that cuts down on a lot of questions. And then you're going to watch for early motion, offsides, illegal procedures, those kinds of things. Okay, scrimmage plays. Okay, the alignments are still the same. Your referee, your umpire, everybody's zones and alignments are all the same. And okay, so on running plays, as you can see, the field judge is going to, as the play goes this way, okay, goes to the right on the diagram, the referee will go with the play. The line judge in this case will be looking back in, watching, initially blocking, but then picking up the running back as they turn up and cross the line of scrimmage. Your field judge will turn somewhat and help out with the set of eyes from the inside out, and your sideline official has got outside in. Oops. Let's go back. Yeah, your line judge is going to have the outside in look. Then your umpire, as the line people move downfield, will turn with them and then watch from his position back over towards any of this area in the middle for any illegal blocks or holdings and stuff like that. And in this case, the down judge is watching all the backside stuff, watching for any unnecessary roughnesses, some holdings possibly in here, but more likely it's just unnecessary roughnesses. Okay. I think, Carrie, is where you're going to take over now. Maybe we'll just take a quick break. And is there any questions about the running or zones or any of that nature right at the moment?
So with licensed officials, those zones obviously change. Correct me if I'm wrong, Frank.
Yes. Okay. Let me just, yeah. I mean, if you eliminate the field judge, okay, if we go all the way back here to here, if you eliminate the field judge, then you've just got the 2 sideline officials to cover everything downfield. The umpire may turn a little quicker and help if there's a pass that's in this area, but for the most part, it's the 2 sideline officials that have a ton of territory to cover. Okay.
Because I noticed last season that it was a lot of 4-man crew, like your two side judges, your ref, and then just your ump.
Yeah, if you end up working a lot of 4 officials, yeah, there's a lot of running. So this is again a case of where you have to be in good physical condition and be ready to go.
The umpire is going to on trapped balls, passes low to the ground, but the umpire is probably not going to have a good idea on pass interference or illegal contact, because the umpire is going to be focused on the blocking of the line, and he's only going to be turning once the ball's released. So umpire will help with low passes, but he's probably not going to be able to help on any kind of penalty calls.
I don't want to tread on Kerry's territory here, but in a 4 official crew, the hold official will hold for a shorter period of time because they have to come down after, if they read pass, they have to get downfield and help out on pass coverages. Any other questions? Okay. Kerry?
Okay, so when you read a pass, the one comment is true. Tackles don't lie. Guards pull on sweeps, but tackles, if they're retreating, 99% of the time, it's going to be a pass play. If the tackles are shooting forward, 99% of the time, it's going to be a running play. Read your receivers on your side. Are they going and throwing blocks? Or are they running pass patterns? Those 2 indicators will help you decide whether it's a running play or a pass play. Be prepared to move 5 to 8 yards off the line after the snap. You may have to come back to the line of scrimmage. And the reason we want you to do is if it ends up being a long pass, you've got a little bit of a head start. If it's a short pass, then you're there. But try not to get ahead of the receivers. You don't want to be in front of them for a variety of reasons, your safety. And again, it's all about angles. So if say, for example, your wide receiver does a little down and out, run downfield 5 yards and then goes out towards the sideline, I'm probably not going to move off the line of scrimmage. If my wide receiver maybe goes 10, 15 yards down and then does an out, I might sneak down that 5 to 8 yards. So again, you're not, it's not a race. Read your tackles, then read your receivers, and then be prepared to move that 5 to 8 yards if you need that. Cover your zone and sideline, because you could have deep responsibilities. As Frank said earlier, your coverage is dead ball line to dead ball line. And be prepared to rule on out of bounds spots and watch for stuff out of bounds after the play. Yeah. Next slide.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
If you're the held official, again, read, play, react. Move downfield after the pass is thrown. Read receivers on your side. If the quarterback rolls to the held receiver's side, that official that was originally the goal official will be coming back towards the line of scrimmage, and that held official may have to cheat that 5 to 8 yards. However, if the play goes as originally designed, you're the hold official, stay put, move down after the pass, read the receivers, where they're going, cover your zone and sideline, and help out on deep responsibilities. And again, if the play goes out of bounds on your side, you are going to be spotting the ball and watching for any funny stuff outside.
Okay, we've got a question, Kerry. Chad's question is, still illegal a man downfield at 5 yards for offensive linemen. This seems to be getting trickier with RPOs, which are run pass option plays in high school football game. Yes, is the answer.
Gee, we've had that discussion several times, haven't we, Frank?
Yes, we have. There was a rule change proposed for 2021 that would not penalize the offensive line people from being 5 yards out, being downfield, but wasn't accepted by Football Canada. And so, yes, if those offensive players are downfield doing anything prior to the ball being caught, then you've got an illegal man downfield. So, and I agree with the RPOs becoming a bigger factor in the game. It's becoming a real challenge.
Having said that, though, that's more an umpire call than a line of scrimmage call. And the reason for that is you could have a very strong offensive lineman that engages that defender at the line of scrimmage and is moving him back. And if he's initiated that contact at the line of scrimmage and moved him back, the umpire's probably seen that because that's his area of responsibility. So be careful on that. If you're on the line of scrimmage, be careful on that. Canada West and Junior have a different interpretation of that rule, so don't get them mixed up. But just be careful on that.
What's the interpretation in Can West there, just out of curiosity? Because this has just been, a bit of a hot topic the last few years where, a couple times a season we'll get a lineman engaged and he will get called. And other times we get those linemen who they've whiffed, they've touched nobody. And for whatever reason, they're quick down the field on an RPO, even though they're not touching anybody. And so I know it's a tough call, but what is the Can West interpretation?
If they're not blocking anybody, then it's not a foul. And to me, I wish we would have adopted that rule change that Frank talked about.
Me too.
Because to me, a guy misses his blocking assignment. Now he's standing by himself. He's not blocking anyone. He's not in the way of a pass pattern. So why is he getting a penalty? And I'm not a fan of the rule as it's currently written, but that's the way it's written. It wasn't changed. So we're stuck doing that. But I know junior and university sports, if they're not blocking, if they're not picking someone or blocking downfield, if they're just standing there, oops, I missed my blocking assignment, then it's not a foul in those two higher divisions. But for community and Canadian high school, it's a penalty. So both officials watch for illegal contact on receivers, illegal interference. You could have holding out there, pass interference, offside passes, and be aware of turnovers. So for pass plays, pretty much the same. The referee's got his group of guys that he's going to be focused in on, and the umpire is going to have his group of guys that he's going to be focused on. Now, the down judge, because he's the free official, if he reads pass and those receivers go down, then he would cheat downfield. Again, be aware to rule on complete, incomplete, interception, out of bounds, etc. The line judge is the hold official. He's going to stay put. He's still going to be wary of his receivers. He's going to be responsible to those receivers, those first two receivers on the right. And the field judge will provide secondary help and will help with the passing and the blocking. Again, the diagram, just kind of showing what everybody's kind of looking at. Field judge is probably going to be a little more expanded than that if that pass play goes over to the down judge side. The umpire's only going to be able to turn and help on low passes. But down judge, as I said earlier, don't feel like you're on an island by yourself. That field judge will have some secondary help for you. Line judge, again, you could have passes out there, so you've got responsibility of receivers. If the play goes as planned to the down judge side, you're going to be cleaning up, looking for any URs, any cheap shots behind the play. But again, be aware if play could come over to your side, so just be ready in case that play switches. Goal line, 5 official crew. Again, this is to go with what's in the manual. Some associations might call goal line 10 yards and in, but for the manual, it's 5 yards and in. So after the snap of the ball, and there's some that are still teaching people out there something different. After the snap of the ball, we want the down judge to go to the goal line. It's the most important line. Can you go back again?
Yeah.
There we go. Most important line. So right after the snap, because the down judge and line judge still have their duties. They still got a rule on offsides. They've still got a rule on procedures. So at the snap, down judge goes to the line. If by chance the play switches and goes to the opposite side, the down judge will come back to the line of scrimmage and the line judge will end up shifting to the goal line. So again, be wary, read your play, watch your blocking if you're the line judge, but be aware that that ball carrier could come to your sideline. Okay. And so basically I blabbed away on what we're supposed to talk about here. Normal duties, know the ball location. I think I just did that all on memory. Be prepared, signal touchdown if you see it's made. Don't copycat signals. Watch for fumbles into the end zone. If you're a first-year official, yes, we want you to know the rules and all that. Be ready to explain to the referee. The ball carrier got to the 1 yard line. He fumbled the ball into the end zone. It was recovered by A or B player. You can explain that to the referee if you're unsure, and the referee will help you make the decision on that. So again, watch for fumbles in the end zone. For whatever reason, they always seem to happen around the goal line. Punt plays for 5 officials. The referee is outside, 8 yards outside, or I can't speak here. 8 yards outside, even with the punter. He could be 2 yards in front or 2 yards behind the punter. Again, that's a discussion for another day about referee mechanics, but this is just to let you know where they're at. Umpire 12 to 15 yards off the line of scrimmage. The short side free official, we want deep 8 to 12 yards outside and 5 yards in front of the deepest returner. And your manual says 8 to 12 yards, but if you're working, like a bantam or midget game or a AAA grade 12 game, you might adjust that to 12 to 15 yards outside because they're fast and you don't want to be in the way of those returners. Again, but for the manual, for your general rule of thumb, 8 to 12 yards outside, 5 yards in front. Wide side line of scrimmage official goes once the ball has crossed the line of scrimmage. And there's a very important reason that none of our manuals talk about, but there's a reason why we want someone on the line of scrimmage. If it's a line drive punt and it's deflected by a team B player, we need to know where that deflection is, because if we have a no yards call, it plays big. So if the ball is deflected on the team A side of the line of scrimmage, then no yards applies downfield. But if it's a line drive punt, and you see those in your Pee Wee and junior bantam divisions, and that's deflected by a linebacker on the team B side, we could have a no yards flag downfield. And your input on where it was first touched is very important. So that's why we want the wide side official to stay on the line of scrimmage until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. Field judge.
Kerry, just also, people in BC don't have this issue as much, but on the prairies where it's flat and windy, the wind has an effect on the punting game too. That another reason why we keep that wide side official on the line of scrimmage until the ball is crossed is because it doesn't actually become a punt until the ball is across the line of scrimmage. And it has happened on more than just one occasion where a punt has been kicked and the wind's caught it and it's never crossed the line of scrimmage. The ball still stays live and no yards is not in play if the ball doesn't cross the line of scrimmage. So we need an official on the line of scrimmage to determine whether it's an actual punt or not.
If you ever come to BC and get homesick, Frank, we'll send you to McLeod Athletic Park. It's when you go there, it's in a wind tunnel. And every time I've worked a game at McLeod, I feel like, I'm back in Regina again. So, but you're absolutely right. We need you to know whether that ball actually crosses the line of scrimmage. And anybody on this from BC who knows McLeod Park will know exactly what Frank's talking about. Field judge, 8 to 12 yards outside the deepest and 5 yards in front of the deepest receiver. And he's also going to signal who has the ball by putting his hand up, or who has the blocking by pointing to the other official. So, and you know what? I'll also follow that up. If I'm field judge, I'll not only will I signal, I'll verbalize, I'll put my hand up and say mine, or I'll point to the free official and point to him and go yours. So most field judges will signal by arm and by verbal as well.
Also, there's been a question to ask us to maybe touch on the 4 official punt coverage. So in 4 officials, you don't have the field judge. So you only have the 1 deep official then, which would be your short side or free official downfield. And depending on the receiving team's alignment, you may want to actually line up a couple of yards deeper. Than if they have 2 returners, you might want to line up in the middle between the 2 of them, 2 or 3 yards behind them. Then your responsibility is a little bit greater in that you now also have the ball carrier and the blocking that may happen in front of the returner. Other than that, the responsibilities pretty much stay the same for everybody else.
Okay, so here's our diagram. Referee is lined up. He's going to be responsible for the kicker and his group of players in front of the kicker. And the umpire will be a little bit deeper, and he's going to be watching that line as well. And depending on how long the kick is, where it's from, once the ball's kicked and the blockers go downfield, that umpire may work his way downfield and help out. The line judge is the wide official, so he's going to stay at the line of scrimmage. The down judge is going to be downfield, the 8 to 12 on the outside, 5 in front, and then the field judge on the opposite side. And in 4-man mechanics, if there's 2 receivers back, I might have that guy in the middle and then move up to whatever, to rule on no yards to whoever receives the ball.
Now, when you were talking about in 4-man, so the down judge would be in between. If there were 2 receivers, 2 punt returners, you would place them in between the 2, but still that 8.
Scott, can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the down judge, instead of being here, will probably line up in this area here, someplace between the 2 of them, just slightly behind, probably 2 or 3 yards just behind these 2 returners.
But you were saying like 8 to 12 yards deep.
No, sorry. No, what we were talking about, the 8 or 12 yards is 8 or 12 yards outside of the deepest returner, this way. Okay. You don't want to be lined up right here, right beside them, because you're going to get run over and you're going to get in the middle of the play. So that's why we say 8 to 12 yards wide.
It has to be somewhat on the field.
That's correct. Yeah.
And then in that instance, with the 2 punt returners in 4-man mechanic, you'd actually place him in between the 2 punt returners.
Yeah, that's correct. They would be back. This person would move from over here closer to the sidelines, or the numbers of the field over here into more of the middle of the field.
Now, what if those 2 punt returners weren't to be exactly exactly in line with each other? Would you still place the down judge and 4-man mechanic in between the 2?
Let's say this guy is up on the goal line, and this guy's where you base it. The depth that you're going to go is off the deepest of these 2 receivers, okay? But you'd still want to line up sort of in between so that you can cover either one. I think if you look at the manual, I'll just find the page here.
The manual is a little bit misleading. I just went and looked. I think the manual is a little misleading on 4 officials for punting. I think your description, Frank, is much better. And if you're the lone official back there in 4-man mechanics, you got to move to get into position. So like Frank showed, if it goes to the deeper of the two, you're in great spot. But if it goes to the shorter one of the two, you gotta move. You gotta move up because you got to rule on the no yards. You may find that some punt returners, even whether it's 4 or 5-man, might line up sort of in an I kind of formation rather than the perfect 1-and-1, across from each other. They might line up the other way. So you got to be able to move fast to get yourself in the position to rule on the no yards.
For the most part, when it comes to the kicking game and our mechanics, it becomes a little bit of read and react. Mechanics are sort of a guideline, not necessarily cast in stone that you have to be there. You have to sort of read and determine what's going to happen with the teams and the way they lay the line up, and then you line up accordingly.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
Yep.
So yeah, we've again, we'll go over the excuse me. So free official, you're downfield, and be aware of the restraining zone, point of possession, point ball held on the return. Remember, if it hits the uprights in flight, it's a whistle, it's a dead ball. If the ball bounces, then hits the goalpost, then everything's still live. The held official, you're on the line of scrimmage, watch for a block deflected kick, move after the kick crosses the line of scrimmage. Both officials on fouls know where the ball is, point ball held. If it's in possession, if it's in flight, you got to know where the ball is if you have a foul. Field goal outside the 10-yard line for 5 officials. So here we have a field goal attempt from 21-yard line. The referee is going to be looking into the holder or the face of the holder. So he has that. Plus, he's also got some responsibilities of the line of scrimmage. The umpire will be responsible to his lineman as well. And the short side officials under one post. The wide side receiver, just like a punt, is going to stay at the line of scrimmage. And the field judge is going to be under the other post. And, okay, if you're under the post of the field judge, be ready to signal good. Be ready to cover a return kick if it's wide, especially in the last 3 minutes on a close game. If the ball is wide to your post, stay under the post and cover the goal line. And you're going to point if it's wide. So if I'm under the post and it's wide, I'm going to point to the wide side. I may also verbally yell at my partner, it's wide. And that's going to help him because he knows I'm staying under the post and he's going to go to the other post. And like we said, if it's wide to the other post, backpedal to cover the dead ball line and to cover the ball carrier. And the held official has the same responsibilities as a punt. He's got to wait to see if the ball's crossed the line of scrimmage. Is it deflected? Did it cross the line of scrimmage?
Carrie, you might cover this in a bit when we get to converts, but I know on converts, the sideline guys are supposed to help with contacting the kicker. Is that the same for the held guy then on a field goal?
No, that's the referee's responsibility. That's why he's looking into the holder's face so he can get a good view on if they get roughed or contacted, the holder and the kicker. But we're going to cover short field goals and converts because it's going to touch on exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. Which
Frank has just pushed up there now. So here we got either a convert or a short field goal attempt because we're inside the 10. So the referee is going to be directly behind the kicker because he's going to rule on whether the kick is good or not. He's also going to have some responsibility with the line. The umpire is going to have his responsibility with the line. Now, the same applies. What applies to the down judge and the line judge? If the down judge can see the face of the holder, he's going to rule on roughing the kicker fouls. And if the line judge sees the back of the kicker, he knows that the down judge has got it. And I like to verbally, or not verbally, I like to signal my partner on the line of scrimmage. So if I'm the down judge, I'm going to point to the kicker and holder. And that's telling the line judge, I've got kicker and holder. And if I'm the line judge and I see my partner making a signal that he's got kicker and holder, then just like hold and free and held, I'm pointing to the ground. It's not in your mechanics manual, but it's a good communication. It's a good mechanic habit to get into. And all that does by pointing to the ground, the line judge pointing to the ground, is he's acknowledging, yeah, the down judge has got kicker and holder. And you're not cement on this play, down judge. Once the ball snap, if you want to take 1 or 2 steps into the backfield to have a better view of any potential contact on the holder and kicker, feel free to do that. You're not cemented to that position. So that's how we would cover. The field judge would cover the dead ball line on a convert for no reason. On a field goal, he will be signaling the single point, but he could also assist the referee very discreetly if one of the posts got challenged. But that's something that the referee and field judge would discuss in their pregame on short field goals. We're not really, haven't got the time to get into that discussion here, but that's just so you know, if you think that the field judge is just there to retrieve the ball, he's not. He's actually got duties to do on that back line.
Okay, when you were talking about the down judge kind of helping out with roughing the contact and the kicker, is that based on whether it's free versus held, or does it matter? Is it just always the down judge?
No. So if the holder was on the other side, this is for what the slide you see is a right-footed kicker. If the holder was on the other side and it was a left-footed kicker, it would switch. The line judge then would rule on contact / roughing the kicker, and the down judge would just be doing the normal line of scrimmage duties. So if you can see the face of the holder, you've got kicker holder responsibilities on converts and short field goals. If you're looking at the back, it means your partner's got it.
We got a question about what the coverage would be in 4 official crew. You wouldn't have a field judge. Your short side official would be the one deep on a short field goal, and then the referee is going to have to take care of both the ball and the holder and kicker. So it's a little bit more difficult for the referee, but that's why they get to wear the white hat and paid the big bucks.
And that's what's in your manual for foreman, but I know individual associations cover it differently on the short. So check with your local association, but that's what's in your manual. Convert field goals, so free official, same as the kick from scrimmage, and you move to the snap inside. Yeah, inside after the snap, move directly to the goal line on a convert. That doesn't make sense.
The free official on a field goal inside the 10-yard line is going after the snap is going to move to the goal line to cover just the goal line. If the kick goes wide and the return comes out, somebody's there on the goal line to help out to watch whether the ball gets out of the end zone.
After he does the duties, protecting the kicker and the holder, then he can move down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if it's on a convert, if it's a 2-point convert, it's just treated just like any other scrimmage play from the 5-yard line.
So they'd be in goal line coverage. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And the held official, same as a kick from scrimmage. Watch for contact in the kicker or holder.
And that covers this week's session. So anybody have any other questions or comments? We can hang on for a few minutes. I'll take the silence as no, and that's great. I hope this session was informative and helpful for everybody. Look forward to seeing you all again next week. And then we'll wrap it all up with one last session talking about penalties and what happens there. So thank you, everybody, for attending this week's session.
Frank, when everyone's I have a quick question. It doesn't matter if they over here. One of the emails, I've got everybody's